Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this discovery session on first semester study abroad at Syracuse University. We're very glad to have all of you with us today. I'm joined by my colleague, Mary Fedorko from Syracuse Abroad, as well as a number of Discovery alumni, current students here at Syracuse, who are really eager to share their experiences with you in just a few moments. We also are joined by my colleague, Mike McGrath in the background, who's helping us with tech support today. So thank you, Mike, for all your help. And also, before we jump into the presentation, we do have a special greeting for you that we recorded last week, actually from our center directors. So because of the time difference, they're not able to be with us here tonight, but they did record a message with Mike's assistance that we're going to share for you now.
Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti. My name is Sasha Perugini. I am the director of the Syracuse University Florence program. I have been the director for 10 years and the program has been around for about 60 years. I also teach a course on cross-cultural management. I'm here to say hi, benvenuti, welcome to this webinar. I hope you will get all the responses you need in this webinar. And if not, we will be available for more questions and more responses to you. It's a great program, it's a great university, it's a great city, it's a great country, a lot to explore and do and eat. And I hope to see you, the students, in Fall 21. Benvenuti.
Bienvenidos a todos. My name is Dieter Kuehl. I'm the director of the Syracuse Madrid program. This program is almost 50 years old, and I've been the director of the program for the last 80 years. I think it's wonderful that you're considering Madrid. As you all know, it's a spectacular and exciting city. And the Discovery program has been going on since 2015. So we will make sure that you have an amazing experience. And I'm very much looking forward to meeting each and every one of you.
Bonjour, bonsoir. I'm Professor Bach. I'm the director of the program here in Strasbourg, in the eastern part of France. And I've been director now since 2000, so that's quite some time. And one of the great pleasures, really, of being director here is to work with Discovery students. And I say that in all seriousness because our experience is that students who are in their first year are so excited to be here, so open to Discovery, as the name of the program itself indicates. And I really hope that you will think of coming to one of the 3 Discovery programs that Syracuse offers. À bientôt.
Thank you for sharing that, Mike. We'll switch back to our presentation here. Let me back up just a few slides. And what we'll be doing for you is walking you through some really helpful information tonight as you're considering our first semester programs for study abroad. We'll talk about each location and the classes, the travel, the staff. We just got to hear from the directors just a moment ago. We'll talk about resources for you to learn more. And then we'll really open it up for our students and for a question and answer session. You're welcome to use the Q&A box if you have questions as we go. We might either address those live or we may save them until the end, depending on the questions that you ask, but we do look forward to hearing from you. I should note, it's important to acknowledge that we're not running these Discovery programs this semester. Typically, we do offer them in the fall, but our plan, and we really look forward to hosting them again next fall. So that's our assumption, that we're getting ready for helping students to apply to the Discovery programs with the intention of rolling those out again next fall. So we're really excited about that. Some quick facts about the Discovery Centers. We do offer them for first semester students in Florence, Strasbourg, and Madrid. These opportunities are open to students in the College of Arts and Sciences and or the College of Engineering and Computer Science. So if you're applying this fall, you will see that as an option on your application. You can indicate that interest on your common application. Some questions we see a lot, so we've addressed those ahead of time here. All the classes that you take abroad will count towards your curriculum, your graduation requirements. That's why this program is only open to students in the College of Arts and Sciences or the College of Engineering, because it fits with the courses that you need to take there. All Discovery students do live with host families, so we'll talk a little bit more about what that's like in a few moments. All the courses are taught in English, and students do learn the local language together. So there's no requirement for proficiency in the local language. You'll learn that while you're there. And then students, just as a matter of timing, students leave the US in August. They return home for winter break before moving into the campus residence halls and taking part in winter welcome orientation in January. So that gives you a sense of the timing. So why do students take part in a study abroad program in the first semester rather than waiting until a little bit later? There are a lot of reasons, and we'll hear from our students about their reasons in a little bit too. It's just a new direction, a new way to begin your university experience. For many students, it fits academically. Maybe you have an interest in international relations or a language, and it makes a lot of sense to have that experience. Many of the students I've worked with over the years, maybe they have a cultural or a family heritage to a particular country, and they'd like to explore that in person, maybe multiple times. Many of our Discovery students do go abroad more than just the one time, so it's not as if that's your only opportunity. Many students are really eager to learn a language, and there's no better way than by living in a place where that language is spoken. So that's a very common interest as well. It's certainly a way to stand out on your resume as you're thinking about job applications, internship applications. Many students study abroad, but not many study abroad in that first semester. So that can be a really special way to stand out. Many students over the years have told us that they like the idea that Discovery is similar to a gap year experience, but you have an academic component. You're still enrolled in Syracuse. It's really seamless with your academic program. So they like that that's kind of the best of both worlds. And because that opportunity is there. Many students find it really appealing that if it's something they can explore, they really want to take advantage of that. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Mary from Syracuse Abroad, so that she can tell you more about each center and some special things to know about each of those locations. Mary?
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Our Discovery Madrid alum is Bailey. No, I'm sorry, Kiana. Kiana, would you introduce yourself?
Of course.
Name
Hi, everyone.
and your major, if you have one, and when you went to Madrid.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kiana. I am a sophomore right now. I went to Madrid in the fall of 2019, first semester. I am a double major in environmental policy and public relations. Did I cover it all?
Yeah, and why did you decide to go abroad your first semester?
So I had traveled to Europe once or twice before, and I had never gone to Madrid or to Spain in general. And when I saw it on the common application, I'm a very curious person. So I was like, oh my goodness, this program sounds amazing. And I kind of took a whim and applying on it. And when I found out that I got in, I was absolutely ecstatic. And
Great.
it was amazing.
Great. And can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So when you go to Madrid, first I just want to step back and say, I work at Syracuse Abroad. So once you are accepted as a Discovery student, you will have a program advisor at Syracuse Abroad who will assist you in preparing to go abroad. We will advise you on how to get your visa. In most cases, we collect your passport, your application, we take it to New York City to apply on your behalf. We have group flights. We assist you with course registration. We have an orientation before you leave. And any questions you have about anything, you could call and we will help you through. If you wouldn't mind just going back to the previous slide, please, thank you. So when you get to Madrid, you have an orientation for 3 days outside the city of Madrid. The center offers lots of trips, day trips, program-sponsored overnight study tours. Some of the courses that you may take will involve field trips. There's a fall break when you go abroad, and so students have the option to do independent travel, and students will all often pair up with each other and you know, come up with itineraries. And when you go to Spain, you are required to take Spanish. There is a first year seminar class, and then you have other courses to choose from. And if you are an engineering or computer science major, there are also required courses that you would need to take during your first semester. And as Lisa mentioned, all of these count towards your first year course requirements. Can you tell us, Kiana, a little bit maybe about one of your favorite classes, or maybe the orientation, the traveling that you did?
So I'll just start with the orientation. It all happens very quickly because you meet everybody in the airport, and we had kind of found each other. And going into the orientation, the people that are with you, they really help you understand the culture, and they have a full day of activities planned. You go, and we went to a bunch of different restaurants and had tapas. It's a big thing in Spain. And we got time to get to know each other before we went to our host families. So we were able to spend time with the students and really connect with each other before we had to go out alone. Not alone, but to our own host houses. And regarding courses, I loved many of my courses. And keep in mind, these are smaller classes than you typically would have in Syracuse. And so you build a very strong connection with your professor and the other students. I mean, my Spanish class is a great example of a course that I loved. And one thing that I really loved about it was that we took learning Spanish into the community. So we would have classes some days in the market where we would go. I was in Spanish 101 when I went to Madrid, and we would go to the market and we would begin having conversations with people. So it's very interactive and it's very engaging. So.
And I seem to remember, Kiana, that one of the courses that you took when you were in Madrid influenced what you decided as a major. Is that
yes, did.
correctly?
I took earth science, and my professor, my passion for the environment 100% came from taking that course. My professor was very involved also in the community of climate change in Madrid, and so she was able to bring in guest lecturers, and we also went to different climate events that we wouldn't have even known of if I hadn't been in the course. And she even took us on a hike when we were in Madrid, and so I got this huge passion for environmental policy, and when I came back to campus, I decided to declare it as a major. So
great, thank you, Kiana. And the next slide, please. The Madrid staff, you already met Dr. Dieter Kuehl, the director of the program. There are 11 staff members who serve on the staff. They're a really wonderful, very personable, very hands-on group of people that will help you through, housing, picking classes, where to go if you have free time, cool neighborhoods to explore. They're really a great group of people. And the Madrid program during a semester usually attracts about 100 to 150 students. So it's kind of a medium-sized program. The next slide, please. Okay, Discovery Strasbourg. Strasbourg, France. A lot of people aren't sure where Strasbourg is. And our Discovery alum for Strasbourg is Sifan. Sifan, can you tell us a little bit about what Strasbourg is like?
Yeah, of course. Hi, guys. My name is Sifan. I'll introduce myself real quick. I am a sophomore studying psychology and neuroscience, and I did the Discovery program last fall 2019. And Strasbourg, if you don't know, it's on the eastern side of France, literally like 15 minutes away from Germany if you want to take the tram or drive. Discovery Strasbourg is just, I think, one of the most amazing places I've been to. I've visited France before and like went to other parts of Europe, but there is so much history in Strasbourg. It's very influenced by Germany, and the language is even different than other parts of France. So it's a very different type of experience than you would get if you went to Paris or Nice. And as for the center at Strasbourg, as you saw, director, Dr. Bach, he's great, and the staff there is also amazing in helping you navigate your way through the city, and also, you know, finding places to go to and just learning about the culture. And they're really good about, you know, helping you get adjusted. And my host family, as we'll talk about that a little bit later, but host parents are also really great in helping you adjust the culture. And for orientation, we actually took a week, I think, a couple days to go and discover other parts of Europe. We went to Germany, and we also went to Austria as well. So we kind of got to know each other on those trips before we went and settled in our host family. So it was a really fun way to start the semester off, for sure.
Great. And also, if anyone is particularly interested in political science or international studies, Strasbourg is a really great location because it is the home of the EU Parliament, the Court of Human Rights, the Council of Europe. And so there's also lots of international people who live in Strasbourg because of those institutions that are located there. And our Strasbourg program, it's about an average of maybe 50 students go to Strasbourg every semester. So it's one of our smaller programs. And the next slide. Yes, so like we said, when you first get to Strasbourg, we have you know, little like study tour to different areas that will change from semester to semester. Sifan talked about what her experience was. And yes, sitting in on sessions at the European Parliament, the European Court of Human Rights. You can even pursue an internship at one of those institutions. We have connections there. And of course, you're required to take French at whatever level. I mean, you may be thinking, do I need to know the language to apply to one of these programs? And you don't. You can start off with French 101, Spanish 101, Italian 101, or if you've taken it for a while, you'll be tested and placed at the right level. And again, wonderful courses that are offered there that relate to France, so that when you go out and explore, you know, you have a deeper understanding of exactly where it is you are studying. And Sifan, can I ask you, do you have a favorite class that you took?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the Hostel France in the US. It's a history course, and I think I'm really not into history that much, but this particular one, my professor was really awesome. And I think also understanding the history between the US and France, if you're going to be living there, kind of gives you a better experience in the way that I see it. So that was a really fun course. And for sure, the French, I was in French 201, and that was a really good course as well. And like Kiana said, it was very interactive. We went to the markets, had a lot of fun. So yeah, those two were my favorite courses, definitely.
Great, thanks, Sifan. And then the next slide, with the staff, there are 5 staff members at our Strasbourg Center. You already met Professor Bach, Professor Boyington, Mary Boyington. She is the person who works probably most closely with the Discovery students. Again, it's a very hands-on program. They are a dedicated staff, and they'll give you as much assistance and help and attention as you want. If you want a longer leash, you'll have a longer leash too. And the next slide, please. Discovery Florence. And our Discovery Florence alum who's joining us tonight is Bailey Davis. And Bailey, do you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone what your major is and when you went abroad?
Yeah, thanks, Mary. So my name is Bailey Davis. I'm currently a sophomore here at Syracuse. I studied abroad last fall 2019, and I'm currently majoring in international relations and economics.
And was there a specific reason why you decided to go abroad first semester and why you picked Florence?
Well, when I graduated high school, I was kind of in a spontaneous point in my life, and I've traveled to other places like India and Europe before going abroad. So I really wanted to, I guess, plant my roots somewhere that wasn't, the US. So that was kind of my main reason for going abroad.
Great. Thank you. And I will say that there are students who go abroad who have never been on a plane before, and who this is really their very, very first experience abroad and discovering. So we have students who have had some traveling and some who have had none at all, and that's great. And again, very similar to the other programs, we have field trips, we have food tasting events like balsamic vinegar tasting, olive oil tasting, there's soccer matches. We also offer field trips. We have like 15 different day trips throughout Italy that we offer, and you can pick several as part of your program fee. Bailey, can you tell us about one of the field trips that you may have gone on?
Yeah, of course. So we had a lot of trips that were kind of already prepaid. So we had, I think you could choose 3 day trips and 1 overnight trip. So my overnight trip was to the Amalfi Coast, which is a little bit south of Naples. And I've been wanting to go there for a while. So it was really great to, kind of go beach hopping down there as part of a trip. And I think my favorite day trip that I chose was to a smaller town in southern Italy called Perugia. We went during a chocolate festival. So we just kind of went there and ate chocolate all day, which is great. And what I also really enjoyed about the trips that it wasn't just us walking around. I mean, that part was amazing, but there was also a historical aspect to it. So in Amalfi, we had the choice to, I guess, go into a smaller cathedral that was in Positano, or in Perugia, we went to a cathedral there. So there was that cultural aspect to the trips as well that I really liked. And moving on from that, there were also trips within Florence that we could take. So one popular one was Chianti, which was a wine tasting. There was another one that I went on because I'm really interested in fashion. So I went on the fashion trip in Florence. So I got to go to like a Salvatore Ferragamo place, or his like original store. I went to the Gucci Gardens and everything. And it was just a really amazing experience to do. And they're all Syracuse-led trips. So that was really awesome that you guys provided that for us.
Right, there's a lot to do in all of the centers. The staff really work hard to organize exciting events, and it's usually led by a professor, someone knowledgeable, so that you are learning. It's not just sightseeing, but you're learning about the country, the culture. And for example, the field trips that they offer, I was mentioning there are about 15 destinations. You can pick 3, and then you said 1 overnight too. But all of the destinations are within Italy, because they really want you to stay in Italy, really get to know Italy, rather than hopping to other countries, which is fun too. But they want to make sure before you leave Italy after the semester that you really really know it, really have an appreciation and understanding of it. And the next slide, please. And there's some for the staff members. Again, you already met Dr. Perugini, the director, and Melanie, Amy, Jessica. They are familiar faces at the center. It's a big center, our Florence Center. We have 28 staff members, and we have anywhere from between 300 to 350 students go to our Florence Center every semester. And Amy Klein works with health and wellness. If you get a little homesick, you can go talk to her. She's a counselor. She's a wonderful person. And Melanie and Jessica assist with, they help select homestay families for each student, iron out any issues or any language barriers that you need to get over. They will go and help you. But again, a wonderful staff that we have in Florence working with our students. And Lisa, do you want to talk about the homestay experience?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. And thanks to each of our students. We'll hear more from you. And I know the questions are coming in, so we may hold off on answering some of those questions so we can have a great conversation in just a couple minutes, but by all means, keep them coming. And so the homestay experience, in my experience working with Discovery students, that's one of the things that everybody is the most nervous about. But usually when you come home, students tell us it was, the best part of the experience. It really changed their lives. And I look forward to hearing from each of our Discovery alumni tonight about their experiences. But all of our first year Discovery students do live with host families. That's a big part of it, typically with at least one other Discovery student. So you have another first year student who is there with you. And our staff does work hard, as Mary mentioned, to pair you up with a family. So a host family might be, parents whose children have grown up and moved away. It might be a multi-generational family. It might be a single person who has room in their apartment and they've opened their doors to exchange students. So families can take many different shapes and sizes, but it really is a hallmark of the study abroad experience here at Syracuse. So Discovery students fill out a form over the summer with preferences, if you're allergic to cats, if you have particular food allergies, if you'd like to live with an active family who might, want to go skiing or something like that with you. That doesn't mean you'll get paired with an exact match to all those things, but it helps the housing staff to pair you up with a family that you'll have some things in common with. So a lot of thought goes into this process. Part of the reason why we chose these 3 particular locations for Discovery students is the strength of the host families. We've been established in these cities for nearly 60 years in Florence, a number of years in Strasbourg and Madrid. And some of these families have worked with the university for 10, 15, 20 years. So you can really put your faith in that process, and that we really are careful about the families that we're working with to make sure that's a good experience for students. And there are evaluations and things that happen at the end of the semester, but many students might go abroad again. Sometimes they even live with that same host family, or if not, they still have that connection in the city for the rest of their lives. They have that second family really all the way around the world. So it's a pretty special thing. And Mary mentioned a number of center-led travel experiences. There's some photos here. I don't know if our students, if you have any other experiences of things you'd like to share. I know you all got to talk a little bit about the things that you did. We do caution students, I'll tell you, especially in the spring when Discovery students are accepted, you'll have a chance to do your own travel. That's encouraged, that's great. hold off on booking your own travel because a number of these experiences are included in your program fee, and actually they're required for many of your classes. So while independent travel is certainly something students do, you want to take advantage of these opportunities to connect and learn from faculty members in these beautiful places. But for our students, for Bailey and Stefan, Kiana, do you have any other examples of center-led travel that you got to do while you were abroad?
So we had two main center-led travels with just the Discovery Kids. One of them went up to northern Spain and the other went down to southern Spain. And something I want to point out about these center-led travels is that what makes Discovery so special is that you get so involved in the country you're in, rather than a lot of upperclassmen are jumping around to different countries every weekend. I am so grateful that I had the experience to become so cultured in Spain and learning so much about the history. But the center-led travels are definitely very fun. You get to be with all your friends, all your other Discovery mates, and they have a series of events planned. Whether we went to a flamenco show in one, we would go to restaurants, we went sightseeing, we even went into mines in one experience, which was really cool. We went into a cave. I mean, there are so many cool things that you get to do that you might not do if you were on a trip alone or just with your friends. So it was something that we all look forward to when they were coming up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think one of my favorite center-led travels were one to Paris, and we actually spent like 3 days there. And I guess a lot of people are kind of bummed when they hear Discoveries available in France, but it's not in Paris. But really, it's a different type of experience. When you go there, you get to explore a lot, you get to see the museums, and you get to get that experience in a different way. And I think the fact that it's center-led helps, keep you and allow you to see all of the great places that are available, but also give you the freedom to explore on your own. Because in the first part of the day, we get to do stuff with the staff, but then at the end of the day, we get to explore on our own, see the city, take a bus, take the tram if we want to. So it's a really great experience, and don't let that kind of discourage you, because it's not really them keeping you on a leash. You get to do so many things on your own, so it's great. And even outside of that, after the center-led travels, when you're not doing those, you can do stuff on your own in the cities, and you can travel outside yourself. So it's a great experience for sure.
Yeah, and going off of what Sifan said, that they give you so much freedom to do whatever you really want to. And I think that I kind of want to emphasize that the classes that you take have trips. Obviously, it depends on what class you take, but I know from my experience, I took a history of art class from antiquity to Michelangelo in Florence, which was absolutely amazing because it was in the heart of the Renaissance, and I was learning about Renaissance artwork. And so we would learn about these like amazing pieces by Michelangelo, Brunelleschi, whatever, whoever in class. And then we would go to cathedrals within Florence and actually see those pieces. And I think right before our midterm break, we actually took a class trip to Rome. So we went to Rome, we saw the Colosseum, we went to the museum that was there and saw a bunch of different artworks. And that was really the cherry on top for me. I think it was my second or third favorite trip out of all of them, even the ones that I took with my friends outside of Syracuse-led trips. So the trips that come with your classes, the trips that Syracuse holds are just probably the best experiences that you could get. So.
Well, great. Well, thank you to all of our students for sharing those stories. I know Mary and I are sitting here thinking, when can we pack a bag? I'm sure you all feel the same way. We're ready to get on a plane. And, we've been fortunate to take student groups abroad and to connect with our centers. And we look forward to doing that again soon. I think it's important, especially in the world we live in now, but really always, to talk about support and safety. That's why we try to show you pictures of the staff and record those videos. You may have had a chance to watch the director's session that we recorded last week for you, to give you a sense of the care and support and the real people who were there to really take care of students. It is a bold decision and maybe a little different for students to study abroad in the first semester, and your needs may be a little different than someone who studies as a junior or senior abroad. So just know that there are a number of phenomenal people and also a lot of thought that has gone into this process to make sure that students really do feel supported and cared for at every step in this journey that you take. Starting with the group flight and really the group visa submission process. We can talk a little bit more about visas in the spring, but students who are accepted to Discovery do work with Mary very closely to do a group visa submission. It makes it a lot easier for you, that it's a lot less complicated when you're able to go through that group submission. Group flights are not required, but I really encourage you to consider a group flight. That's just like it sounds. So everybody from Discovery will book the same flight, typically out of John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City, and then fly to the location together, usually with a Syracuse staff member. So it's kind of bonding and team building from the time you get to JFK. Usually people are wearing Syracuse shirts and there's travel agents there and everybody kind of connects in the terminal. Then you fly over together. They send a van or bus or somebody comes to collect everyone in one vehicle, and then off you go. And it's this shared experience. If it doesn't work out for the group flight, that's okay. You can arrive on your own. Everybody will come get you and get you caught up, but it is really ideal if you can have that shared experience of traveling together. And that way you've got a staff member there if you need anything, but mostly it's just a good social opportunity to get to know everyone else in your class. Plenty of pre-departure and on-site orientation. Mary talked a bit about the seminars and the orientation at each center. I think it's important to note with host families, you typically stay in a hotel for the first couple of nights, depending on the location. So it's not like you arrive and you're kind of jet lagged and they leave you on someone's step. You have a couple days to sort of acclimate, get used to the time difference and all of that. There are a number of ways that students are looked after safety-wise. So you have emergency numbers. There's a 24-hour on-call service at each center. So wherever you might be, you can get a hold of a staff member at any time of day or night. I think that's important. When we talk a lot about independent travel. So you might get some friends and take a flight to somewhere else for the weekend. That's fine. But you do need to register that travel with the center, and they'll have a procedure that they share with everyone. That's really important, just in case there's a situation in another city. They know where you are, how to reach you. You need to have a local phone number for that reason as well. And there are resources here on campus of Tucker and Bridget Demarest who are available to help students with any kind of safety concerns that they may have. And this photo here, I love to share that. So that's Dr. Kuhl, who you heard from earlier, and that's David. I don't think he's there anymore, but a former staff member at SU Madrid. This was a picture from the group that I took over a few years ago. So literally they sent the van, they picked everyone up, and they took us out for cappuccino to help everybody get acclimated when we were on the ground. So from your first cup of coffee on site on, they will definitely take care of all the needs that you have. So I think that's important to note, that you really are cared for and looked after by all the staff on the ground. Mary, did you have anything to add here?
No, except to say that, student safety is really our #1 priority. And yeah, we take that very seriously. So your child, or if you are the student, you'll be in very good hands abroad with us.
Absolutely. Okay. As we move on a little bit, we hope that you want to keep learning more, and we'll share our contact information at the end. There are some great online resources through Syracuse Abroad and through each of the centers. While our programs aren't running right now, we do hope to resume those in the spring, and of course for next year for Discovery in the fall. But you can see here we've got resources on both Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures from past terms, what students have been up to, the trips, the food, the families, kind of all of those adventures, you can take a look at those resources to learn a bit more about each of the centers in those cities. So I know we had a few questions coming in about the application process. So because I do work in admissions, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. So if you are a senior this year and you're working on your application, common application will be how you get started. And once again, as we mentioned earlier, this is an opportunity for the first semester for students in the College of Arts and Sciences, or the dual degree or single degree in the College of Engineering and Computer Science. So if you're applying to business or music or education, any of those other majors that we have at Syracuse, You won't be able to spend your first semester abroad, but you will certainly have opportunities to study abroad a little bit later. So I think that's important to note. So if you're applying to arts and sciences or engineering, you'll see that option. Click yes that you're interested in discovery. A few days later after you apply, you'll get a really brief discovery supplement. And that's where you can tell us more about your interest in the program, which location is your first choice. We encourage admissions interviews. Those are not required, but they are encouraged. And we will offer those. So if you're a senior this year, those will be continued through maybe the middle to end of December. So I would encourage you to go ahead and schedule that now. We are kind of starting to schedule out for December for those virtual admissions interviews. So that allows you, again, it's not required, but it allows you to speak more about your interest in the program and to ask questions as well. There is an age requirement, and this is not a Syracuse requirement. This is typically a government requirement for the visa, but you really do need to be 18 years old. So if you're applying for fall 2021, you need to be 18 years old as of July 1st. If you were born in July and your birthday is a few days after, email us. We can talk about that. Sometimes it varies based on the embassy that you live near, what location you're considering. But we need for you to be close to 18 by that July 1 deadline for the visa, student visa purposes. If it's not listed here specifically, but if you're thinking about discovery at all, and check to see if you have a passport, how long is it good for, make sure that you do have a valid passport that would be good for at least a year after your program start date. So that's something you may want to plan ahead for. And this last note, we typically remind students that you are applying, if you apply for discovery, to spend your first semester abroad. So if you're accepted to that, we anticipate that you'll be taking part in discovery. This year, of course, we worked with students and enrolled them on main campus. And should that be an issue this spring, I would imagine we would handle that the same way. But in a typical year, we expect if you're accepted, it's because that's what you wanted. You applied for this abroad program. So just keep that in mind as you're applying. This year, of course, everything will sort of play out in its own way, but we are hopeful to resume these programs next fall. Okay. So I've talked a lot. We really want to open it up for questions from each of you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see all of us all at the same time. And we've got a few questions that have come in through the Q&A. I'll read those out and we can address those. Keep them coming. We have a good maybe 15 minutes or so for questions. So for our students, here's a great question for you. Was there a difference in the rigor and pace of the courses abroad compared to what you experienced in Syracuse? And what was that adjustment period like?
I think I can go first on this one. I think for me it was all about learning to, or, adjusting to time management and definitely like getting on that, because I feel like when you are abroad, there's a lot of things that could distract you and you just have to tell yourself, this is my time for work and this is my time for exploring. So once you get adjusted to that, it's so easy to kind of, do well. And all the professors and all the staff are there to help you. So if you're struggling in a course, if you need some more time, you just have to talk to your professors, and they are so flexible and will help you adjust. So don't even really worry about that. As for the course load and for the coursework, when I was abroad, I took 15 credits, and that's about 4 classes. So that wasn't too much, I guess. I managed my time well, so it really worked out well. And if you do take more or less classes, it just depends on how much you are able to handle and whatever you think will suit you best. But I think whatever you do choose to do, there's a lot of people there to help you through.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that Sifan said. The course load wasn't, I feel like for me personally, the course load on campus was a little harder than it was when I was abroad, but that comes because of I guess adjusting to, traveling, you're in a new environment, you're abroad. So it's like you have a lot more things going on, and time management is very, very important, I think. Balancing your time between your social life and traveling and your classes and all that stuff. And in Italy, I took 16 credits, but honestly, I don't think it was too hard to manage as long as you stay focused and don't get behind. So
Something important I think we should add is, at least for me in Madrid, my courses there, you had to be a lot more engaged, and there's going to be a lot more professor student discussion happening. And I think that they also do that because then you're going to have less homework style things. You're definitely obviously going to have your midterms and your exams and papers, but there's not going to be that typical daily homework because they want you to be experiencing the city. But keep in mind then you should definitely be going to all your classes, and there your professors will notice if you're not there because they're very small classes.
I think those are great points to make. And I'm curious about each of your experiences because I know from students in past years, they said that classrooms can be a bit more formal, and you had to dress maybe a certain way, or you might sort of hear about that. There's no eating in the classroom. You don't eat in Professor Spini's class. I always heard that from the Florence students. You're nodding your heads. Did you notice that maybe the classroom was a bit more formal than what you experienced here in the US?
Definitely more formal. I think that they can tell when if you're not paying attention or if you're really tired, and they will comment on it. All the professors are very, very kind, and I had a great relationship with all of them, but there is like no eating. You can't really have that chit chat because you would be disrupting class. And it is rather at Syracuse, we have PowerPoints if you're taking a basic math course. But in Madrid, it was a lot more lecture style where the professor is talking and you're going to have discussion. So yeah, I don't know if I explained that well, but.
Absolutely. Thank you. We've got some great questions coming in, so I do want to try to keep us on time. Living expenses. So are living expenses when you're abroad similar to those at Syracuse? I mean, in general, it depends on the exchange rate of the dollar to the euro. Budgets are important to think about. Definitely, you do need to budget for your travel, your round trip airfare, any independent travel that you do. Typically your lunch during the week and your meals on the weekends you need to budget for. I don't know if our students, if you'd like to comment on the budget piece, which is very important.
Yeah, so it's definitely important to budget your money, especially if you plan on traveling independently and not really doing even with the Syracuse led trips, you want to have a little spending money for souvenirs or whatever you might buy. Personally, I did not, I didn't budget as well as I should have. I kind of like gave into, buying a lot of clothes, which I had to deal with later. But yeah, budgeting is very important, and honestly you'll be fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I only brought maybe $3,000, which is like the most amount of money I've ever saved up ever. So yeah,
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I think that with the budgeting aspect for the weekdays, so yeah, we don't get lunch during the weekdays, and on the weekends we have to get lunch and dinner, I think, on our own, if I remember correctly. And with those, a lot of the host families are okay with you using the kitchens, which mine was. So I usually bought groceries and cooked at home, which was kind of money saving tips if you can cook and if you want to. And your host parents would probably be okay with helping you too. And just kind of managing, how much you spend. Look at, for the first couple of weeks, observe how much money you're spending and kind of plan it out based on that. You don't have to have everything planned out when you get there. Like, you have a little bit of time to adjust, so you'll be okay. Don't worry about that too much.
One thing I want to add in is that, so don't think about lunch as a big expense. Right near the Madrid Center, we have this amazing grocery store, and they make fresh food every day, and lots of it, because lots of people go there to get lunch. And it is typically like you could get a full, very large meal for less than €5. You could even get a sandwich for maybe €2 or €3. So it's important to ask other people about that kind of stuff because you might overestimate it when thinking about it.
Lisa, I also wanted to mention at Syracuse University, we have an Office of Financial Literacy, and you can work with a student who is an alum of a study abroad program, whatever location, And they've been trained and certified by the Whitman School of Business at Syracuse University, working on budget, how to budget for a trip abroad, and tips on how to save when you go to your destination. So it's a really good resource.
Absolutely. I could have used that when I was a college student for sure. And, you know, I thank you all for sharing your experiences because it is important. And there are students who can go on a budget, have an amazing experience. Some get carried away, but you don't have to have $10,000 in the bank to have a quality experience. There are ways to do it. You know, when we've taken students over too, you can get a sandwich for a couple of euro, a cup of coffee, you're good to go. And it doesn't have to be a big expense. So there are lots of ways to make that happen. With the time we have left, I see we have two really important questions in the Q&A. So the big one, the other big concern we hear about all the time is what it's like coming back to the US and then joining everybody on campus in the spring. And it is tricky. It is a transition for sure. But for Sifan, Bailey, and Kiana, would you talk about your experiences coming back to campus in January?
Yeah, for sure. I can start off with this. I thought it was gonna be way harder than it actually was. I think the fact that we had built so many strong bonds when we were abroad, because it was a few of us and you kind of had to build those bonds. So when we came back, it didn't really feel like I was coming into, you know, a completely isolating place. I had all of these people around me that I knew there, and that kind of carried over. And when I got here, I got to join a bunch of organizations, and it's not too bad as long as you put yourself out there. And that's definitely something that I advise you to do. Join as many organizations as you can, keep your friends from wherever you travel to, and get to know more people, and it should not be too bad to adjust to.
Yeah, just to add a little bit to what Sifan just said, when we come back, there's like a winter orientation as well, and that's actually how I met Kiana and Sifan. So you get to meet the people from the other center discovery programs, which is really cool. And I agree. I think that one main thing that kind of kept me socially afloat last spring was, you know, joining clubs and like putting myself out there, because it's hard in the middle of it's kind of difficult in the middle of Syracuse winter. So yeah.
I would definitely say that I was so sad when leaving Madrid because I had such a great time. But again, like, you make these great connections and you make such close friends that when you come back, you have that community that you were in the country that you were in with. So the adjustment can be hard, but you have so many people and resources around you.
Thank you so much to all of our panelists here tonight. We so appreciate all of your time and experiences. I hope that each of you watching from home, whether you're a student or a parent, I hope that you're excited by the possibilities. We are for you. And as you're maybe a student working on applying this fall, keep in touch. You see our contact information on the screen. I'm Lisa Rainey. I work in the admissions office with Discovery students. Mary works in Syracuse Abroad with Discovery students. If you'd like to chat with our Discovery alumni further, we can help connect you after tonight's session. And so you can keep in touch. Our email addresses are on the screen there. So thanks to all of our panelists tonight. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for the students and family members who joined us. We hope that this was a helpful experience for you. We hope that you apply for Discovery and take advantage of this amazing opportunity. You may study abroad again later. You've got lots of chances to pack a bag and have a really great life-changing event. So thanks so much once again. Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at another event soon. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.